first top practitioner created an advertising agency called the Best Small Agency of the Year by Advertising Age after just 3 years. David Baldwin is the founder and chief creative director, or lead guitarist, as he prefers to put it, of ad agency Baldwin Ad. The agency also won the 4A's Tool Award for the best body of work for a small agency in the nation. David was head creative director at McKinney before starting his own firm. A graduate of Texas Austin, he is the chairman of the One Club in New York City and an executive producer for the Emmy Award-winning film Art and Copy. He is truly one of the most admired and awarded creative people in the industry, and it is a pleasure to have him here to talk about his extraordinary firm. Please welcome David Baldwin.
Literally everybody was talking about the economy's going, you're going to lose your house. But I kind of felt like, well, what's the worst that could happen? if the economy goes, we're all screwed, right? Everybody's gone. So we went ahead and did it anyway. And this is my favorite. We had an article written about us in Adweek, I think. It was Adweek or Adage. And this was one of the comments, because we didn't have any clients. That was our other stupid thing that we did. We started, most people start with a client. That's a tip. Start with a client. But somebody said, oh sure, started up in the worst recession ever in a project-only client that just went bankrupt. Nortel was our first client. It was a project that we had, yeah, good luck on that one. So I taped that onto my wall and looked at that every day, which was for me kind of a motivating thing. So instead, this is sort of an episode of Stupid Men. This was we have done pretty well. So it's sort of, a lot of people have sort of assumed that, oh, you guys have been really lucky and it just worked. But it really was, we've worked really hard to kind of pull off what we pulled off. But we did it anyway. And this is what I think I'd like to talk about. We live in a world where it's awesome that you don't know what you're doing. That's actually a really good thing. And if you can apply principles and goals to that WTF, we talk about it sometimes as living in the WTF, where we just don't know what we will come up with an idea and sell it and then go, oh no, we sold it, what do we do? But the one thing that has not changed, and the one thing that I wrote these in my attic before we started the company, what I wanted the company to be, and I felt like the company that I wanted to work at just didn't exist, and so this is what we tried to create. So our values were to do great work first, have fun doing it, have a great life outside of work, run a great business in that order. And that's what we're trying to do. And it's been a lot of fun. And it's something that we all live every day. We talk about these. They are alive in the company. And so I'm a copywriter. I didn't know how to do a business plan. So I didn't do a business plan. What I did was I wrote the values of the company, and then I wrote what I wanted our goals to be. And I just thought I'd share a couple of the goals that we wrote. Again, this was all written before we started the company. I formulated this in my attic for 6 months, just kind of thinking about what I wanted to do. But we said we're a national company from day one. We do not want to be a local agency. Nothing wrong with local agencies. That's awesome. It's just not what we wanted to be. We wanted to do work that was seen on a national level and a global level. So I think audacity of it, Bob and I sort of sitting at a table, looking at each other, going, we're a national company. It would be great to have a client. And so we used to kind of laugh about that. But we held that in front of us the entire time. We've never let that go. That's something that's really important to us. And indeed, we have worked with national brands since day one. And it's very important to kind of focus yourself on what you guys want. And I think you can do this at any level. And I think for you guys, I talked to Alex a little bit earlier, and I talked to Jessica a little bit earlier. Think about what you guys want, write it down, and then go do that. It's amazing once you write something down what that does for you. So, another one was that we only wanted to work on things that we could really believe in, that we could get behind. And so we have a filter that we use when we talk to clients. We could be much bigger than we are right now. And we're not much bigger than we are right now because we get called by companies and we go, And so it literally is, that if one of us, if one of the founders, there's myself, Bob, Aaron, and a guy named Jerry Rotary, if we'll take an opportunity back into the conference room and talk about it, and if one of us goes, I don't know, we don't do it, we just say no. So we actually had a pretty big telecom come to us about 3 years ago and offered us a lot of money to take their business. And there was no pitch, nothing. They were like, we need you to take this, we want you to take it. And we all went to the back and I was like, I don't want to work on it. So I don't want to ask anybody else to work on it. So we said no. It's just how we built it. I think what that's done is it's kept us from getting distracted by kind of assignments that we don't want to work on. And so that's been very big for us. Creatively, my creative philosophy is very simple. And I think this is actually a great way to describe advertising, to be honest with you. But the Shakers were this community in the Northeast that built really beautiful furniture. They have this wonderful saying, do not make something unless it is both necessary and useful. If it is both necessary and useful, do not hesitate to make it beautiful. And that is literally what we do. So everything that we do has a purpose. I was talking to somebody somebody else again this morning, advertising is a business. It's art for commerce. You have to, everything that you do has to do something. So I kind of like to think of us as artisans versus artists. And so, if we were building shelves and you came in and you're a client and you said, I need a shelf, and we made a really beautiful shelf, but everything slid off it, but it looked great, that's a shitty shelf. It's not a good shelf. So we try to make beautiful shelves. So, but the real question is, why wouldn't you make something beautiful? Now, once you've decided to do what you're going to do, why not make it engaging? Why not make it beautiful? Why not? Why wouldn't you do that? And we never forget that the people we're talking to are human beings who want to be engaged, and most people hate advertising. Who here kind of hates advertising on it when they watch TV? It's awful, right? But who here has 20 favorite commercials? So isn't that a weird thing? A lot of people tell me they hate advertising. I call them civilians. Whenever I talk to civilians, they'll be like, advertising's the worst. And I go, I know, I agree, but how about that? And they'll be like, that's wonderful. I love that. And so you go, so do you hate advertising or do you hate shitty advertising? So that's something that's important to us as well. This has been a guiding principle for us, and we will not just do something for the money. We did it once, and it sucked. We did not have fun, and ironically, it was for another agency, and they didn't pay us for 9 months. So it was ridiculous. So we were just like, this is not what we're going to do. So we don't chase money. And the other one that seemed audacious at the time was that we said we're going to double in size every year for 5 years. And I can tell you, when you write shit down, it happens. It's weird. So that is what happened. And that is us right now. We are 32 people. It's really weird, but it did happen. And we are, I think, 35 if you start to add in some of the kind of permanent people that we have orbiting us. But what we wanted to do was build the mass to be able to go after the things we wanted to go after, but not be so big that we would collapse into ourselves. We actually said that was for the first 5 years. We were 10 months into this 5 years, and we, in January, said, all right, slow down. We cannot be 64 people next year. It can't happen. We will implode. Even that growth it's hard to find really, really good people that want to move to Raleigh, that want to get on this mission. So it has not been easy to find the right people to do that. So that's what we've been up to. But and this one we failed spectacularly at. So this was part of the model was we're going to create our own brands. And I'm going to talk to you in a minute about something that we did create. When we first started the agency, we also tried to start a chocolate bar. We had this really cool idea for a social chocolate bar. And I went, I'm trying to start 2 companies at once. This is ludicrous. And the one thing that I've learned about starting brands, which a lot of agencies talk about it, and we did too, kind of glibly, you're starting a company, not a brand. So that was something that I learned within about 6 months. I was like, I can't start 2 companies at one time. I didn't have the resources to do it. We didn't have the people to do it. We didn't have a sales force to do it. We just couldn't do it. So, but we had this really cool idea. Ironically, we're now next door to the Dairy Chocolate Factory, and I become really good friends with Sam Rado, and who runs it. And I have told him about it, and we've been kind of talking about maybe doing it. So, which would be cool. This is kind of our first 5 years in a little nutshell. We won the O'Toole Awards this year alongside BBDO and BFG 9000, which is Jerry Graff's place up in New York. We're also a B Corp, which is, you can look up B Corp online. And then we were featured in CA last year. We were Small Agency of the Year in 2012 from Ad Age. And the first campaign that we ever did for Burt's Bees won Campaign of the year before that. So it's been a pretty fun ride. The way I say it is it's been a magic carpet ride, to be honest with you. But this is the thing that we're really clear on, given our aspirations and what we're up to, is we haven't really done anything yet. We're still a 32-person agency in Raleigh, North Carolina. We've done really good work. We're excited every day to come in and do more good work. But we have Daniel Burnham, the great architect in Chicago, had this great quote, make no small plans. That's what we're trying to do. So we're really trying to have an impact on a national, global scale. And until we've achieved that, we haven't done anything. So I thought I'd show you a couple things. Here's the weird thing. I almost want you to start raising hands, and if the majority of you raise hands and go, seen it, I'll just move on. Because I feel like online, you can see everything now. Nothing is, you used to go show work and people go, I haven't seen that. But now, if you've seen our website, you might have seen some of these things. This is one of my favorite things we did for Burt's Bees. Again, we do a lot of, I would say 30% of our revenue is probably through social media, but those barriers are even now breaking down to where everything is social media. But this was an assignment that we did for Burt's Bees for Earth Day, and I would say Earth Day is their Christmas. They're a natural company that's really focused on the right. What I love about Burt's Bees is when you sit in a boardroom with those guys, they're talking about the things you think they're talking about. They're talking about sustainability and doing the right thing. I just love that. But this is a little piece that we did. The assignment was do a post for Facebook. They had no money, and we came up with this idea to use their ingredients to create a song. So. To me, that is an example of when we're at our best, which is from a sort of standpoint of the agency, of taking an assignment that seems very small and turning it into something as big as we can make it. And we talk a lot internally about under-promise and over-deliver, and we really try to do that in everything that we do. Can you guys hear that? Was that loud enough? Okay. So this is another example of something that's a very similar assignment. This is when we first took over the account as agency of record. We had been doing projects for them, and what was happening was we were a project agency for them, and they had another agency that was their agency, and they had a digital agency in Dallas that was their digital agency, and they had a PR agency up in New York that's their PR agency, which they still have, which is actually really good. And what was happening is those agencies would do work and they could never sell anything. They could never sell anything. And they would come back with stuff that would be like sexual. Like it would be like, hey, trying to be edgy, and you just look at it and go, what are you doing? That's not Burt's Bees. So what would happen is they kept coming to us and going, hey, will you guys take a whack at this? Will you just take a run at this assignment? And so we would then do something, and it would be like spot of the day at that age, you know? So we finally ended up getting the business, and they had just started running a campaign from this other agency. And this was the first actual assignment that we did for them as their agency of record. But they said, hey, can you take this idea and help us drive trial, do something to drive trial? So the assignment was drive trial using Facebook. That was do a Facebook post that drives trial. So what we did was, instead we said, I think they wanted a video to drive trial. So we said, well, what if we actually does anybody here use natural products? So if you use natural products, you really have to try them. Like there's this barrier. I don't want to get into it. We do a ton of strategic work on everything we do and measurement and everything. But one of the strategic insights with natural products is women don't believe that they're going to work as well as a synthetic product, so they're loath to give it a chance. The other thing is that there's a 28-day cycle that your skin goes through that when you use natural products, you have to kind of get through it. And it's literally like detoxing your skin. So one of the things that we are always trying to do with Burt's Bees is drive trial. So we came up with this idea instead, and it's kind of, we call it the before and after coupon billboard. And I'll just show you the video. It had two parts. Once that was over, we then did something else with this billboard.
The brief. Make a video to create awareness and drive trial for the new intense hydration product line from Burt's Bees. The solution. Don't create a video. Create a billboard. To be more precise, a billboard that's also a video. It's also part event, part coupon delivery system, part before and after product demonstration, part commitment to giving back to the environment. By covering a traditional billboard with thousands of coupons made to resemble dry, flaky skin, and then allowing people to remove them, we reimagined the standard before and after product demo as an engaging promotional video for an unknown product in a typically staid category. And as part of Burt's Bees' commitment to the greater good, we transformed the vinyl billboard into a sustainable rain catchment system for a local school, where it lives to this day. The results. Hydrated skin, hydrated gardens. Just another day at Burt's Bees.
One of our creative mantras is to always try to build engagement on top of engagement on top of engagement. So again, we ran that as a video. We did the actual event in Minneapolis. We did it in Minneapolis because that's where Target is headquartered. It's one of their biggest channels. And we then filmed that billboard being used. We then took that film, ran that on Facebook. That then drove you to get a coupon. We then took the billboard, sent it back, and created another piece of content off it where we actually had the Durham School of the Arts design a rain catch. The kids designed a rain catchment system using the vinyl billboard. So, and again, Burt's Bees, their stand in the world is to be nature's champion. So that's again always trying to bring that to life. But we do a lot of traditional things for them as well. This is a print that we just did a year ago for Color. Very simple, nature is color. This is another follow-up campaign to that. This was talking about blending different colors. Again, very, I think, beautiful. If you actually look through beauty magazines, these leap out of the magazines because those Maybellines of the world are just visual and messaging chaos. And again, they probably had a $2 million media buy on it versus a $20 million media buy for their competitors. This is another piece that we did. This is every single color product that they have as well. Then we also introduced Burt's Bees Divine as well a year ago. And this was again a very small part of a campaign we were doing for their classic products. And we're going to have to turn these up if that's okay. You might have to hit the volume because they're shot. We had a guy named Jethro Ames who was a Vine director who has a very big following. And it's interesting when you're doing Vines, you're hiring the director for their creativity, but also for their followers as well. But this was the idea here was that Burt's Bees classic products. We would do classics starring the classic products themselves. So. Can you hear me?
Bad travel choice.
we do thousands of pieces of social content for birds every year. It is an always-on proposition. There's a ton of strategic work that goes into that. There's a ton of actual creation that goes into that, and there's a ton of measurement that goes into that. So you're kind of seeing the shiny bits, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. How much time do I have? 6 minutes. All right, I'll show you 2 more things from Birds Bees. So Birds Bees came to us 3.5 years ago and asked us to create a new brand for them. And so they wanted to, the natural segment, they didn't want the target to age out and for them to start to lose customers. So they said we need what they were calling a flanker brand, and they said let's create a brand aimed at younger women. And has anyone here heard of Good? Oh, look at that, that's awesome. So we created this brand called Good. And again, this gets back into the what the hell are we? We actually did all of the design, we did all the strategic work, we did all of the package design, we did all of the writing, we did all of the naming, we did all of the kind of production alongside in a very collaborative team with Birds Bees. We picked the scents. It was really a fun, amazing thing. But it was from literally conception to on the shelves in 11 months, which is insane. And Clorox, who owns Birds Bees, said, "How did you guys do that? We want to bring that into Clorox because it takes them a lot longer to develop products." And so that, if you haven't interacted with Good, you should. It's pretty interesting. The very simple insight that this entire brand is built on is that traditional beauty brands have told you that if you want to be happy, you need to look beautiful. And what we actually saw is a completely different thing happening, where if you feel happy, it makes you feel beautiful. And this is all based on the your kind of social post being a status symbol, and that showing happiness and being happy is an actual status symbol. So that's what this is all kind of comes from. We did what we call social smelltastical. When we launched it, this had so many pieces on it that the video would have been 4 minutes. So I'm just going to show you this video real quick, how we launched this thing.
The shortest campaign video in the history of campaign videos. Last year, we created a brand for Birds Bees called Good. Most natural brands smell like hemp, broccoli, and squirrel. Good is different. It smells awesome. So to launch it, we created a social media smell-tastical that took a bunch of stuff, traditional, digital, gorilla, mobile, scratch, sip, inserts, QR codes, and cloud contents of rainbow, made it in a blender, and then hit craft to create one big old factory palooza of a campaign, all pushing people towards Facebook. To watch a video you can actually smell, A to buy a scratch and sip card, and get a sample of a coupon so you try it and then tell your friends, and then they tell their friends, which is exactly what happened. Not bad. Good.
An incredibly small budget to launch this thing and to maintain it. This is now, we cut to a year later, we were launching a new fragrance called Red Ruby Groovy, which is a grapefruit fragrance. And this was also our opportunity to bring Good onto Pinterest, which the audience on Pinterest and the audience for Good is ridiculously similar. So this was a contest that we did. really funny.
Shelves.
Here's what I want to talk about. So we started a brewery. We started a brewery called Ponysaurus. It's in Durham. We brew out of the cookery. We're a nano brewery. We're about 300 barrels a year, which is nothing. It turned out our capacity was 300 barrels, but our capacity of our brewmaster was about 165 barrels because he would die. So, but we are currently about to expand capacity dramatically, which is really exciting. So look for news on Ponysaurus. But again, this is our opportunity to sort of practice what we preach and create a social brand. Ponysaurus, the beer is unbelievable if you like beer. And I know everybody says that about their beer, but it really is, it's amazing. It's definitely some of the best beer in town. But we're in a game to create, again, we're trying to create a brand that goes well beyond the Raleigh-Durham Triangle area. So look for Ponysaurus if you can get it. You can buy it at like places like Pools, Mateo, we're at Gear Street Garden, we're a bunch of different places. But definitely try it. So in closing, I would just like to say, figure out what you want to be, write it down, and then be the shit out of it. I mean, that's really what you guys can be. And be really comfortable in the WTF of what am I doing. And I'm honestly really looking forward to what these guys have to say because I know I'm going to learn something. And we're in now an era